ओम श्री सद्गुरु परमात्मने नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु परमात्मने नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु भगवान शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु भगवान शिवानंदाय नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः। गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्ति पूजामूलं गुरोर्पदम् मंत्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरोर्कृपा। मोक्षमूलं शिवानन्दाकृपा। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। यस्यान्तर्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नाम गोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णं न भवति पुरुषो नो नपुंसं न च स्त्री नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जननं मरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं नो तत्त्वं तत्त्वमेकं सहज समरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमातीतं निरञ्जनं ज्ञानबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानमूलहरणं जन्मकर्मनिवारणं ज्ञानवैराग्यसिद्ध्यार्थं गुरुपादोदकं पिबेत्। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तये विश्वपञ्चाय शान्ताय निरालम्बाय तेजसे नित्यशुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुब्रह्मा नमाम्यहम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरुदेव की जय।
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश पाहि मां।
श्री गणेश श्री गणेश श्री गणेश रक्ष मां।
जय सरस्वती जय सरस्वती जय सरस्वती पाहि मां।
श्री सरस्वती श्री सरस्वती श्री सरस्वती रक्ष मां।
जय श्री दुर्गा जय श्री दुर्गा जय श्री दुर्गा पाहि मां।
जय श्री दुर्गा जय श्री दुर्गा जय श्री दुर्गा रक्ष मां।
जय श्री काली जय श्री काली जय श्री काली पाहि मां।
जय श्री काली जय श्री काली जय श्री काली रक्ष मां।
जय श्री लक्ष्मी जय श्री लक्ष्मी जय श्री लक्ष्मी पाहि मां।
जय श्री लक्ष्मी जय श्री लक्ष्मी जय श्री लक्ष्मी रक्ष मां।
सरवण भव सरवण भव सरवण भव पाहि मां।
सुब्रह्मण्य 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 रक्ष मां। दत्तात्रेय 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 पाहि मां। दत्त गुरु रक्ष मां।
शिवानंद 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 पाहि मां।
शिवानंद 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 रक्ष मां।
जय गुरु शिव गुरु हरि गुरु राम।
जगत गुरु परम गुरु सद्गुरु श्याम।
आदि गुरु अद्वैत गुरु
सच्चिदानंद गुरु ओम, चित गुरु चिन्मय गुरु चिन्माया गुरु ओम। जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम, जय सिया राम जय जय सिया राम। जय राधे श्याम जय जय राधे श्याम, जय राधे श्याम जय जय राधे श्याम। जय हनुमान जय जय हनुमान, जय हनुमान जय जय हनुमान। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। शिवानंदा शिवानंदा सद्गुरुनाथा, शिवानंदा 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 सद्गुरुनाथा, शिवानंदा 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 सद्गुरुनाथा, शिवानंदा। जय गुरुदेव दयानिधि दीन हितकारी, जय जय मोह विनाशक भवबंधनहारी। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। ब्रह्मा विष्णु सदा शिव गुरु मूर्तिधारी, वेद पुराण बखानत गुरु महिमा भारी। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। तप तप तीरथ संयम दान विरत दीने, गुरु बिन ज्ञान न होवे बोधि जतन कीने। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। माया मोहन जल जीव बहे सारी, नाम जहान पिता कर गुरु बल में धारी। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। काम क्रोध मद मत्सर चोर बड़े भारी, ज्ञान खड़ग ने कर में गुरु सब संहारी। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। नाना पंथ जगत में निज निज गुण गावे, सबका सार बताकर गुरु मार्ग लावे। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव। गुरु चरणामृत निर्मल सब बाधक हारी, वचन सुनत तम नाशे सब संशय दारी। जय देव मोह विनाशक भवबंधनहारी। जय देव गुरुदेव, जय देव गुरुदेव।
O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto Thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent and omniscient. Thou art Sachidananda. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptations and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, greed, anger and hatred. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold Thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve Thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember Thee. Let us be ever loyal to Thee. Let us ever sing Thy glories. Let Thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in Thee forever and ever. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. O all-merciful Gurudev, every thought of my mind, every emotion of my heart, every movement of my being, every feeling and every sensation, each cell of my body, each drop of my blood, all is yours, Gurudev, yours absolutely, yours without any reserve. Gurudev, you can decide my life or my death, my happiness or my sorrow, my pleasure or my pain. Gurudev, whatever you do with me, whatever comes to me from you, will lead me to your lotus feet. Gurudev, you have provided us with the best facilities in the world for our spiritual growth. May we take full advantage of this precious gift of yours, Gurudev. May we look upon the ashram and all its contents as your body and treat them with love and reverence. This is our heartfelt prayer to you, Gurudev. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Jyotase Jyota जगाते चलो, ज्योतसे ज्योत जगाते चलो। प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो, प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो। ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो, ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो। प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो, प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो। राह में आए जो दीन दुखी, राह में आए जो दीन दुखी, सबको गले से लगा के चलो। प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो, ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो, ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो। प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो, प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो। जिसका न कोई संगी साथी, ईश्वर है रखवाला। जिसका न कोई संगी साथी, ईश्वर है रखवाला। जो निर्धन है, जो निर्बल है, वो है प्रभु का प्यारा। जो निर्धन
आशा टूटी ममता रूठी छूट गया है किनारा आशा टूटी ममता रूठी छूट गया है किनारा बंद करो मत द्वार दया का दे दो मुझको सहारा बंद करो मत द्वार दया का दे दो मुझको सहारा दीप दया का दीप दया का जलाते चलो प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो
Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. On behalf of our Divine Master, Sri Swami Shivananda and Pujya Swami Sahajananda, we extend a warm and cordial welcome to all on this Youth Day program. We also extend a special welcome to donors, well-wishers, devotees tuning in for the first time, members of sister organizations, and those from abroad. We read from Guru Bhakti Yoga by Sri Swami Shivananda. The disciple must be free from envy, jealousy, pride, impatience, and attachment. He must be firmly devoted to the Guru and intent upon knowing the truth. The disciple should not criticize or find fault with his own Guru. The disciple should not indulge in unnecessary or idle talk before his Guru. The preceptor should be regarded as the main or lower piece of the two pieces of wood used in kindling the sacred fire, and the pupil the upper one. Instruction is the piece that connects them, and knowledge is the union that brings happiness. He who, through the favor of the Guru, knows that one Lord has become many through Maya, knows the truth and understands the Vedas. Youth Day in South Africa is a day set aside to honor and commemorate the courage and sacrifices of the youth during the Soweto uprising, and to celebrate all young people. On June 16, 1976, a demonstration in Soweto, led largely by high school students, was met with a brutal crackdown by police and set off a wave of protests and violent conflicts across South Africa. The day is now commemorated as Youth Day in South Africa, when we remember the significance of the Soweto uprisings and the bravery of those involved, as well as the importance of supporting the youth across the country. Swami Shivananda stated that the time of youth is most precious and should never be wasted. The sacrifices made by the youth of the country in the past helped pave the way for the democratic country we live in today. Similarly, the youth of today have a responsibility to uphold traditions, values, and morals that can assist in strengthening the future generations. Swami Shivananda placed a lot of emphasis on youth development and the development of head, heart, and hand. Gurudev wrote volumes on the complete integral development of an individual to cope with the material and physical pressures and gain spiritual strength to meet the many challenges of life. Pujya Swami Sahajananda initiated many programs such as the yoga camps and the Sunlit Path Club, where youth are focused on for their upliftment in life. We, the youth of Divine Life Society of South Africa, honor the youth of the past, present, and the future, and offer our eternal gratitude to our Divine Master, Sri Swami Shivananda, and Pujya Swami Sahajananda, for the opportunities and facilities they have given us in this country. Let us spread a message of courage, hope, and peace. Our Youth Day program comprises of Sri Gurudev's and Pujya Swamiji's messages on youth, as well as advice to youth, musical items, kirtans and bhajans, meditation on peace series, a health video, a PowerPoint presentation on the topic social media, and a panel discussion on spirituality and COVID-19. We wish all youth a blessed, peaceful, spiritual, and fulfilling Youth Day. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Prayer. Prayer lightens the heart and fills the mind with peace, purity, and inner strength. It is a mighty spiritual force. A heartfelt prayer clearly shows one the next step. A life destitute of prayer and love is like a sapless tree in the desert. The prayer that comes from a sincere, pure heart is at once heard by the Lord. Law of karma. Every action brings about a reaction. If you rob another, you rob yourself. If you hurt another, you hurt yourself first. If you cheat another, you cheat yourself. Similarly, if you serve another, you serve yourself. If you give happiness to another, you give happiness to yourself. So think, speak, and act wisely. The Divine Name. The Divine Name is a potent, unfailing antidote for those who are bitten by the serpent of pain, sorrow, and suffering. It is a nectar that can confer everlasting peace and joy. The god of death is terribly afraid of those who repeat the Divine Name. Therefore, take complete refuge in it. Serve, love, give. Thought alone shapes and molds our whole life. Become an embodiment of good nature. Think well of all. Do good actions always. Serve, love, give. Make others happy. Live to serve all. Then you will reap a rich harvest of peace and happiness. You will get the best opportunities and environments. desires. This worldly life is dreadful. There is no limit to man's cravings and desires. They can never be satisfied. They grow day by day, just as the flame increases by pouring oil onto it. Dispassion and discrimination are the two weapons to kill desires. Cravings flee whenever there is dispassion and discrimination. Real religion. Every religion and its prophet should be duly respected. All true religions bring to the despairing man solace, strength, wisdom, peace, and joy. The essence of all religions is freedom, happiness, and peace. Purity, truthfulness, non-injury, and tolerance are the moral pillars of all religions. All religions lead us to God.
I'm most afraid of failure of any sort.
Spiders and insects.
His fear is of ghosts.
Yeah. Public speaking.
What is your worst fear?
Of getting married.
I am most afraid of drowning and magic.
Biggest fear is of not being around for my children when they really need me, and my other fear is of meeting an accident while I drive.
Snakes.
My worst fear is of being alone in a scary, lonely place without anybody there, and I'll be afraid that somebody is going to come there and attack me.
Death and getting sick, and if you have to lie in bed and then unable to walk, unable to bath, unable to eat, and someone has to take care of you.
I'm afraid of disappointing my parents.
Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Our topic today is on social media, effects it has on youth, and how we can use it to our advantage. We will be discussing the positive effects, the negative effects, and how we can use social media to spread positivity and spirituality. What is social media? Social media refers to all applications and websites or blogs that enable people around the globe to interconnect via the internet, to chat, and to share content. In today's world, all of us are experiencing this phenomena called social media. It is developing day by day. Most people around the world are using social media. This is very popular among the young generation. Even if you look at the statistics, you will come across the same thing. Social media is continuing to gain popularity every day. The effects of social media on youth is also quite evident in different frames of our lives. What are some positive effects of social media? Faster communication. Social applications are playing an extensive role in terms of linking people. It gives a platform to those who can't travel and find it inconvenient to move out to meet people. Different apps, for example, WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, and Instagram, have been introduced for this purpose. Now, people do not need to spend money and travel to meet people physically. They can meet their dear and loved ones just by making video calls. Get in touch with the world. We can find social media handy to remain connected with our friends and family if we live abroad. It has become easier for people to live outside the country and stay in touch with their family and friends at the same time. Educational purpose and useful information. Students have been finding it increasingly difficult to study at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is when social media becomes extremely handy for students. We find it quite easy and quick to find different queries regarding education. We may have just one type of question, but we find 100 answers and solutions to our questions. Students are getting advantages of social media in order to take help. Some explore new ideas, some find information, and some find new strategies for improvement in their work. Social media can be as beneficial for the teachers to learn new techniques to teach students with different approaches. Chances of increased skills. Social media is such power as it can give chances to the users to improve their skills for which they do not need to go out. It gives online tutorials and webinars free of cost. It provides different programs. Multiple trainers train different skills such as glass painting, interior decoration, knitting, stitching, cooking, dress designing, mirror work, etc. Social media as a source of income for many people. Social media can be a great source of income for many. It generally allows users to learn different techniques and skills by which they can earn their means. It also is useful for those who are physically disabled but want to support their family needs. Heaven for the people of social media marketing. Social media is a blessing for small businesses and people who are attached to the field of social media marketing. These websites provide opportunities of employment for many people. Also, many businesses are getting sales, inquiries, and lead generations using social networking websites like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Online shopping. Many online selling apps use social media for the announcement of their products. Then they sell their products to similar social media pages and groups. Even many affiliate marketers using these channels for the lead generation. Many famous stores like Amazon and eBay also take advantage of these social networking websites, which indeed leads to the product selling and business promotion. With the virus lurking at every corner of the world, shopping becomes extremely difficult. Online shopping becomes rarely useful in this regard. With just a click of a button, people can have their groceries delivered to their homes. Negative impact of social media on youth. Even though social media sites seem to connect more people and make them stay up to date, it leads to social isolation. Social isolation can cause a number of effects, such as physical, emotional, mental, and psychological issues in these youths. This can in turn lead to depression, anxiety, and many other problems. It also leads to misspelling of words and misuse of words and tenses through the use of short forms and abbreviations. This has a high negative impact, more so on students, because it affects their language capabilities directly, and this leads to poor grades in languages. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is bullying that happens online via any form of electronic communication. Cyberbullying has been linked to depression, anxiety, social isolation, and suicide. Compared to traditional forms of bullying, cyberbullying can be witnessed by a larger audience. The perpetrator can remain anonymous, and the victim may find it difficult to escape. Behaviors that are considered to be cyberbullying include, but are not limited to, exclusion, harassment, outing, cyberstalking, impersonation, dissing, trolling, and catfishing. Comparisons to unrealistic portrayals. Magazines and advertising have long been criticized for upholding dangerously unrealistic standards of success and beauty, but at least it's acknowledged that they are idolized. These models wearing size 0 clothing are just that, models. And even they are made up, retouched, and photoshopped. These days, however, the impossible standards are set much closer to home, not by celebrities and models, but by classmates and friends. With social media, teens can curate their lives, and the resulting feeds read like highlight reels, showing only the best and most enviable moments, while concealing efforts, struggles, and the merely ordinary aspect of day-to-day life. They are evidence that those images are causing distress for many kids. Every day, young people are bombarded with digitally altered ads of celebrities and paid influencers with impossibly perfect bodies disguised as the living dream. While we're all guilty of comparison, teenagers are particularly vulnerable to its damaging effects. During the pandemic, when used mindfully, social media can help your teens stay connected and at times even boost their feelings of self-worth and acceptance. Mental health problems. In today's world, many of us rely on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, and Instagram to find and connect with each other. While each has its benefits, it's important to remember that social media can never be a replacement for real-world human connections. Ironically, for a technology that's designed to bring people closer together, spending too much time engaging with social media can actually make you feel more lonely and isolated. Human beings are social creatures. We need the companionship of others to thrive in life. And the strength of our connections has a huge impact on our mental health and happiness. Being socially connected to others can ease stress, anxiety, and depression, boost self-worth, provide comfort and joy, prevent loneliness, and even add years to your life. On the flip side, lacking strong social connections can pose a serious risk to your mental and emotional health. If you are spending an excessive amount of time on social media and feelings of sadness, dissatisfaction, frustration, or loneliness are impacting your life, it may be time to re-examine your online habits and find a healthier balance. How can we, as youth, use social media to our advantage and spread positivity around the world? Social media is this generation's Wild West. No rules, limited consequences, and in some cases, complete chaos. It is a great tool, but I think it's safe to say that negativity has a way of popping up in every corner of the internet. From comment sections, offensive posts, and rudeness abound. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if checking your social media channels was an uplifting experience and not something we do to catch up on the latest gossip? It's a lofty goal, but in the end, it starts with you. Some ideas for experiencing the positive sides of social media and spreading that inspiration to others are: 1. Seek inspiration. Follow feeds that inspire you, whether it's inspirational blogs, beautiful photos, or someone you look up to. It's probably the simplest thing you can do, but it often makes the biggest impact. After all, social media is for connecting you with the things that interest you. Why not throw in some happiness too? Unfollow negativity. Let's be real. There's always at least one person in your feed who doesn't have the best track record for being a ray of sunshine. Instead of having to scroll through their daily rants or inciting comments, simply unfollow them. If unfollowing isn't an option, update your settings so you don't see as many of their posts. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Treat others kindly. Social media is an extension of our physical presence, and it should be treated as such. This means that the way we treat and interact with others on social media should mirror how we treat people in real life, with respect, kindness, and friendliness. Here are some ideas of how you can spread kindness online. Pay a friend a compliment. Promote someone else's work. Give an unsolicited recommendation. Spread the word about your favorite charity organization and share gratitude for people in your life. Be truly social. If you're already constantly checking your social media apps, you might as well make it productive by interacting with the people you follow. Put a smile on a loved one's face by sending them a quick message, favoriting a friend's post, or sharing an inspiring article. When it comes to spreading joy, we are just as responsible as the next person. Taking it upon yourself to become a pillar of inspiration, whether in person or online, is a great way to do your part in making a positive impact on the world. The Divine Life Society and its teachings. With social media being such a worldwide platform, we, as the Divine Life Society youth, can use it to our advantage. We can promote the teachings of our Divine Master through all our social media apps. This will reach out to devotees and people all around the world. These teachings will eventually reach people who are experiencing difficulties in life and are looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. The small act of spreading the teachings of Gurudev and Pujya Swami Sahajananda can change someone's life for the better. In conclusion, social networking has been proved to have both positive and negative effects on our youth. Individuals should make a conclusion whether to go on using sites or stop or even moderate on their usage. Parents should guide and advise their children on current matters like the usage of social media and warn them of its negative impacts to them when misused or overused. Parents should monitor the social media activities of their spiritual darlings, especially young minds who are easily influenced by society. Swamiji writes in his book on how to bring up spiritual darlings various ways to ensure your young spiritual darling has a spiritual and positive upbringing. Our Divine Master says, "Do not do any act which will bring no good to others, which will make you repent later on, or of which you are ashamed. Do such acts as are praiseworthy and which will bring good to you and to others." Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om, Surya and Sham Kumari. How are you both doing today?
Hari Om, I am doing great, thank you.
I am doing well too. It is so nice to hear your voices.
Yes, for sure. How have you been coping with the lockdown, Salv?
It has been a bit of a struggle. I had to get used to the idea of being home all the time, as well as getting used to studying online. What about you, Sham?
It was a bit of a struggle for me too. I had a hard time coping with my grade 12 work, and I had been missing ashram very much.
I understand how hard that must have been. However, we were lucky to have a very important ingredient that was given to us by Sri Gurudev and Pujya Swamiji, and that is sadhana.
Yes, sadhana is the driving force as to why we come here. Some examples include prayer and satsang, meditation, lika japa, karma yoga, Agnihotra, and many more.
I think we may need a refresher course on what sadhana is. Sav, would you mind refreshing our knowledge about satsang and prayer?
Sure. Prayer is an effort of man to get in touch with God. Prayer has glorious power and can work wonders, but it must come from the heart. Gurudev says that the foremost prayer of an aspirant should be for the removal of ignorance. Very often, the main object of our prayer is selfish and worldly, as we crave for material things.
Yes, I often find myself wanting new things. I sometimes forget that we should be praying for spiritual knowledge instead of worldly things.
Exactly. Satsang is also an important aspect of sadhana. Satsang means being in the company of God. Satsang comes in many forms. It can be the reading of sacred scriptures, discussing spiritual topics, and even a gathering of devotees for the purpose of chanting the Lord's name. Tell me, friends, how do you pray?
Well, I get up in the morning and repeat the Shri Ram mantra. I also do my Shri Hanuman Chalisa and asanas.
I had read that all you have to do is get up early in the morning and sit in silence and humbly appeal to God in your heart to make you pure and awaken in you all your divine qualities and virtues. Remember that prayer goes hand in hand with satsang.
That is correct. A true devotee resigns himself to God and surrenders his ego to Him. He forgets the world and thinks of nothing but God. He has full trust in the Lord and acts accordingly to His guidance. Divine grace flows through such a devotee, and his nature is quickly purified.
God also listens to children's prayers and answers it more quickly because they are so pure and innocent. We should be sincere in our prayers.
Repetition of the divine name and prayer must go together. We must talk to God all through the day and chant His name, not only when we sit for our daily prayers. The prayer to the Lord should be simple and candid. God looks more to the feeling of the heart than to the words one uses to address Him.
You know, with not being able to meet at ashram for satsang, I miss the atmosphere of having everyone in one room chanting the Lord's name. I know that when a number of people sit together for satsang, the benefits are much greater.
Yes, and with our online satsangs, people all over the world tune in to praise the Lord's name. Is that not amazing?
It is indeed. Although I sometimes find it difficult to keep up with my sadhana. How can I change that so I can be regular in my sadhana?
During these uncertain times, the COVID pandemic has given us a lot of time to introspect and focus on our sadhana, more specifically the spiritual diary, which is our focus in this discussion. Fortunately for us, Pujya Swamiji was able to extract the essence of Sri Gurudev's teachings, which is all encompassed in the maintenance of the spiritual diary, namely pranayama, meditation, asanas, smaran, and liki japa. This little spiritual dynamite should be kept in the pocket all the time, as it contains the king of all spiritual sadhana, and that is Guru Bhakti Yoga. It is a constant reminder of what we should achieve in Guru Bhakti Yoga. It has a checklist containing 6 virtues, namely appreciation, communication, cleanliness, obedience, forgiveness, and punctuality. These are the cardinal virtues in Guru Bhakti Yoga, which, if followed in spirit and letter, the Guru will bestow upon us boundless grace.
We should all make fresh attempts to abide by these virtues and thereby hasten our progress. Due to social distancing, the karma yoga aspect cannot be incorporated, so maintaining a spiritual diary helps us to keep track of the spiritual aspects in our lives without us being dependent on anyone. Morning sadhana is of utmost importance. All the great saints and sages have been unanimous in saying that the best time to do spiritual practices is in the Brahma Muhurta period between 4 to 6 a.m., as this is the time that all the great masters like Sri Gurudev send out the powerful and positive vibrations. And if we do sadhana at this time, then we benefit from these vibrations.
Yes, I agree. Another positive aspect of this pandemic is the fact that we have more time in the morning to complete our morning sadhana routine. The morning hours also gives us time for introspection. The Master states that daily self-analysis and introspection is indispensable. Then alone can you grow rapidly in spirituality. Find out your defects and eradicate them through suitable methods. If you are not vigilant, your dispassion wanes and you will begin to slacken in your daily spiritual practices.
Some of us used to take for granted coming to satsang and taking darshan from Ganga Mata. However, this pandemic has allowed for us to appreciate ashram, which I'm sure we all miss dearly. Fortunately for us, we have online satsangs to fill this void and the spiritual diary to help us in our sadhana practices. Gurudev states in Showways for Success in Life and God Realization, discover your evil habits and eradicate them. You are the best judge of these. Dedicate everything to the Lord. Duty for duty's sake and work for work's sake should be your ideal. Hence, the pandemic has brought upon us ways in which we can better ourselves and, most importantly, introspection. To look within and understand our true selves. Eventually, you will grow purer and understand the spirit of selfless service, working without any desire for the fruits of your actions.
We are so fortunate to have such inspiring instructions from our Divine Master. As part of my sadhana, I also partake in Agnihotra. Agnihotra is a basic form of yajna tuned to the biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. Yajna is a basic process of purification of the atmosphere through the agency of fire. Regular practices promotes great healing power in the atmosphere and within the individual. Problems like high blood pressure, trouble sleeping, depression, fear, nervousness, bronchial problems, etc. have been cured by doing daily Agnihotra.
Wow, that is really amazing. I know it also has a very calming effect on the mind.
Yes, indeed. Agnihotra has 3 key elements. 1. Keeping to specific timings corresponding to sunrise and sunset. You can find the timesheets on our Divine Life Society website and you can download the app Agnihotra Buddy.
Wait, you mean there's an actual app to remind you of when to do Agnihotra?
Yep, it's very useful. The second is burning of specific organic substances in a special copper kund. You can find more details on how to do Agnihotra in our prayer book on page 200. The third is chanting of the mantras.
So, from all the information we shared today, it is clear that we have all the means to continue with our sadhana in these trying times, even if we can't physically meet.
Exactly. And we should try to be very thankful to Sri Gurudev and Puja Swamiji for all the tools that they gave us to help us progress on the spiritual
Definitely.
path.
We should call again sometime. It was really nice to hear how you guys are coping during this time.
We shall talk soon, my friends. Take care and remember to do your sadhana daily. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jai Sita Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram.
Wherever possible, you should read books that extol the glory of God's name. That will give you faith. See? So when we read about the saints who have realized God by means of the name, then our faith starts growing and we also start repeating the name. So it's necessary that we should read those types of books. Swami Ramdas' book, In the Vision of God, is very inspiring. And he says, he quotes many cases during his travels where people had trouble. See, ordinary worldly people, several people had cases pending in the court, and they used to come to him. He used to say, take God's name. See? And they used to take it, and everything used to come all right. Such is the greatness and glory of God's name. So you must have faith that the name is all-powerful, that the name is invincible. And it can drive off anything. I told you the story of how the little boy was being possessed. The moment we started the Maha mantra, he would wake up from his slumber, from his sleep, and nothing else could wake him up. You can slap him, you can pinch him or do whatever you want, he won't wake up, but the name alone would wake him up. Gandhiji was a great votary of the name. And he was one of the few saints who could remember the name for 24 hours of the day. Gandhiji said that the name was going on automatically. They call it japa. It goes on automatically. It's a very high state. And it's a miracle how Gandhiji, in spite of all his work and turmoil that he went through, he was able to repeat the name without a break. Even though he was talking to people, laughing and joking, the name was going on full swing within. Here the mind is separated, the consciousness is separated. One part of the consciousness repeats the name and the other attends to the external work. And neither interferes with the other. The work does not interfere with the repetition, and the repetition does not interfere with the work. It's called double consciousness. Gurudev gives a description in the book. Ultimately, of course, the name stops repeating itself when you are always in a state of God consciousness. So in whatever way you can do it, loudly or in whispers, you should bring the mind back to the name. Even if there's forgetfulness for short periods or long periods, it does not matter. Again and again, we should try to concentrate on the name. Again and again, we should bring the mind to the name. And there's no other rule, there's no other way. The question was asked by Arjuna and answered by Lord Krishna. Arjuna uttered the same word that we are uttering today. The mind is very difficult to control. It's like controlling the wind, Arjuna says. Lord Krishna says, yes, I know. But abhyasa, repeated practice, is the secret. Even in yoga asanas, you'll find that the postures will be very difficult, but all of a sudden you'll find you're able to do it. So the repetition of the name goes on bringing about purification within. It brings marvelous results. Not only brings purification within, but creates spiritual vibrations around you for your protection. See? And there are lots of other material benefits. Health improves, outside conditions improve, your attitude towards people improves. And if you create vibration, then people are not able to harm you. People are telling me that those who dislike Gandhiji, often they used to wait along the roadside to waylay him, see, and attack him. But the moment Gandhiji walked past, they were powerless to do anything, because he had that Ram Nam had created marvelous spiritual vibrations. So in the presence of his spiritual vibrations, what can guns and other things do? Although you might say how Gandhiji passed away, but he willed. Gandhiji said before he passed away that he knew he was going to pass away. So when they asked him about the letters to be signed, he said, it must be done today, tomorrow might be too late. Who knows whether I'll be living tomorrow. Now Swami Ramdas and Gurudev say that Gandhiji had willed to pass away, see, and he chose to go that way. Like Yogananda said, I like to pass away with my boots on. So he passed away when there was a banquet being held in the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. So that's his way of leaving the world. So this name creates a marvelous vibration. And that vibration spreads throughout the body, through the cells of the body, to the mind. And the whole being is gradually possessed by the divine name. It goes on vibrating automatically. So a fortress is formed around the body. An aura, a spiritual aura is formed, and it's difficult for others to penetrate that aura. See? So even if we don't see the immediate results, the results are there. I've given you an analogy that it's like a rock. You hammer it 99 times, 100 times, and on the 101st blow, the rock splits because the split was going on inside. So the purification goes on taking place. You must remember that we have evolved from the savage to the present state. The Hindu theory of evolution that we have evolved from the lowest forms of matter, see, from inert matter to the savage to the saint, and during all those processes, the samskaras are deeply embedded in the mind. See, the impressions in the mind are deeply embedded, so thousands of times we have to repeat God's name. And thousands of times we have to meditate to uproot those samskaras. A samskara is an impression formed in the mind when any action or thought takes place. It's like a cart moving and making a rut in the road. And as the cart moves again and again in the same spot to the same road, the rut gets deeper and deeper. So the samskaras get deeper and deeper. So the samskaras force us to do the action that we are doing today. We repeatedly do the wrong actions. The same actions give us trouble again and again because the samskaras of those actions are in the mind. See? But gradually, the repetition of the name thins down the samskaras. See? Then samskaras might be present in the mind, but they will not manifest as actions and words. And later on, they say that it retreats. It's not present in the mind, but it's lodged somewhere deep in the subconscious, Aurobindo calls it, in the Muladhara chakra. But it doesn't create in it very much trouble, but it comes up from there sometime in dream. So he says that even from there, we must try and expel it. Swami Ramdas says that you must try to come to the stage and get Kaya Siddhi. That means the whole body itself must be freed from something, because the body also has automatic samskaras. It reacts because we constantly give attention to it, so the samskaras are built up. Every little ache and pain, we attend to it. When the body sends a message, then we pay too much attention to it. So those samskaras are remembered by the body. The body has a physical consciousness.
Om. Up next in the program is a musical rendition by Sri Lokesan Logan Murugan, who is currently in grade 11, with a musical career spanning 3 years under the tutelage of Srimad Sayuri Pillai. Thereafter, we will have a musical item by the Pietermaritzburg branch youth.
By the
यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुना तीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी रामा हरे रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे शिवानंदा शिवानंदा गुरुदेवा शिवानंदा 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 गुरुदेवा शिवानंदा 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 गुरुदेवा शिवानंदा 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 गुरुदेवा शिवानंदा जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
following are our announcements. We invite devotees and the public to join our online home satsangs via the links on our website. Please join us for the following important online special satsangs. Our yoga camp is on Sunday, 20th June 2021 with a home sadhana program from 6 a.m. until 9:45 a.m. Online yoga camp lessons are from 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. Topics are Guru Gita with focus on bhakti yoga, saints and sages, ancient and modern. Yoga camp satsang is from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. A special item commemorating the International Yoga Day will form part of the yoga camp satsang, which is from 11 a.m. until 12 noon. International Yoga Day normally takes place on 21st June annually. The most auspicious Ganga Dasera will be observed on Sunday, 20th June 2021. Ganga Aarti is at 5:30 p.m. followed by satsang. Divine Life Society of South Africa will be distributing 1,500 grocery hampers, each valued at approximately 350 rand, to the needy families during the most auspicious Guru Purnima period in July. Devotees are encouraged to contribute towards this humanitarian initiative via our fundraisers or via EFT. The Grocery Hamper Initiative also forms part of our COVID-19 relief program. Due to the coronavirus pandemic and the threat of a third wave, our ashrams and branches remain closed until further notice. Devotees and visitors are respectfully informed that visits to any of our ashrams or branches must be authorized by the Board of Management. We offer special prayers to all those who are ill, those who have lost loved ones, the departed, our frontline workers, and for world peace. We remind devotees to follow all the COVID-19 protocols, guidelines, and the rules for lockdown so as to keep safe. Devotees and the public are reminded that if one is infected or has any symptoms, then one is required to please isolate and follow the doctor's advice. We wish our Divine Fathers, Sri Gurudev and Puja Swamiji, and all Fathers a happy, blessed, and Divine Father's Day. Puja Swamiji has given elaborate descriptions in our books of the value of the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, Agnihotra, and Sri Hanuman Chalisa. Devotees are urged to continue with these practices regularly for their own safety and protection. Agnihotra will also help to bring rain. As per Puja Swamiji's advice, the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra should be repeated all the time while driving. If we cannot repeat the mantra all the time, then repeat it as often as possible. It will help to prevent accidents, robberies, hijackings, and other calamities. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. 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 Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Vandanaन् Mrityormukshyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Vandanaन् Mrityormukshyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Vandanaन् Mrityormukshyamamritat.
श्री सद्गुरुदेव की जय। जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक विघ्न विनायक श्री गणेशा। जय जय आरती वेणुगोपाला वेणुगोपाला वेणुलोला पागविगोरा नवयुगचोरा। जय जय आरती वेंकटरमणा वेंकटरमणा संकटहरणा सीताराम राधे श्यामा। जय जय आरती गौरी मनोहर गौरी मनोहर भवानी शंकर सांब सदा शिव उमा महेश्वर। जय जय आरती राजराजेश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी त्रिपुर सुंदरी महासरस्वती महालक्ष्मी महाकाली महाशक्ति। जय जय आरती अंजनेया अंजनेया हनुमंता। जय जय आरती दत्तात्रेय दत्तात्रेय त्रिमूर्ति अवतारा। जय जय आरती सद्गुरुनादा सद्गुरुनादा भगवान शिवानंदा सद्गुरुनादा भगवान विश्वानंदा। जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक। ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्ति भवतु सर्वेषां शान्ति भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। श्री सद्गुरु भगवान की जय।